Hello everybody. You having a great night? It's great to be here in Edinburgh. I'm not visiting, I'm just really proud of where I live. That's true actually. It's Mother's Day a couple of weeks ago. Did anybody here celebrate it? Yeah. Oh good, I'm glad some of you. The rest of you are heartless bastards. I think it's really important to celebrate these things. I mean, I took my mum out on Mother's Day. Single bullet, right through the forehead. Didn't feel a thing. Anyway, as you can probably tell from my accent, I am from Dundee. Now, some of you clearly know Dundee by reaction, but in case there's any tourists in from Pennycook or Livingston, it's maybe best if I try and describe Dundee. And I think the best way to do this is in terms of supermarkets. I mean, Edinburgh, that's clearly Waitrose. Glasgow, it's a bit more like Tesco's. Dundee, we're talking Lidl. If it's been looted and firebombed. I mean, Dundee's a bit rough, and just to give you an idea how rough it is, when the satellite passed over taking the pictures for Google Earth, they nicked the camera. Go home tonight and log on and look for Dundee, you'll just find, I broke the mic. Anyway, you'll just find a white space where Dundee is. No, it's true, I did grow up in Dundee, and it was a bit of a tough place to grow up with an English accent back in the 1970s, because I really am that old. But not only that, I was a fat kid with an English accent, and just to make sure I was completely hated, I didn't like football. So that was 3 strikes and you're out. I was an English cunt, a fat bastard, and gay. I mean, I've never understood why not liking football is a reason to question your sexuality. After all, it's the footballers who share the bath with the other men, but hey, who am I to ask? But I didn't even help myself, because I used to correct their English. I'd be there in the playground and the wee boys would come up and they'd say, "Hey David, do you want a game of football?" And I'd be like, "No thank you." And they'd say, "Oh, how no?" And I'd be like, "I think you'll find that, why not?" Smack me across the face. I think you'll find that's a smack in the puss. But I mean, it was a bit of a trauma anyway, I mean, being a fat kid playing football, because, see, back then, it wasn't as popular as it is now, and there's loads of fat kids to choose from now, but there's usually only one at a time. And there must have been malnutrition as well, because the skinny kids seemed skinnier, all sort of ribs sticking out and knees wider than their thighs. I used to look like the commandants on Auschwitz, playing with the inmates. And it was a bit hateful as well, because it was always the cool guys that got to pick the teams. They were the captains, and they'd be doing that slow index of failure, picking the teams, going down the ranking of fitness and popularity, until you were left with the 2 scrapings at the bottom of the barrel, the fat kid and the specky kid. The guy with the milk bottle glasses. Even the guy in the wheelchair used to get picked ahead of us. We were standing there, the 2 loser laddies. The kind of kids that make paedophiles eat their own sweets. I'll just give you a minute to absorb that. This is kind of what the paedophile said. Okay, too far. But now anyway, eventually I did actually eventually learn to blend, and I picked up a little bit of the local Dundee patois. It was fine until I went home, and my mother was at home. See, she was English. That's why I had the accent. And she was a bitter, twisted woman, crying into the gin bottle, wondering where it all went wrong, wondering how the fuck she ended up in Dundee. And I'd come home and she'd say, "Hey David, how was your day at school?" And I'd say, "Oh, it was great. I took piss for my dinner, playing and ringing and all." Smack me across the face, and she'd be like, "You'll never get on in life with that kind of accent." Great inheritance. Do you know how much I have to pay these days to get an English woman to smack me? But after a while, I learned to adapt. Kids are adaptable. So I used to change my accent between home and school. And the legacy that's left me with is that every time I meet anybody with a strong accent, I tend to pick it up. And it looks a bit like I'm taking the mickey, but I'm not. It's childhood, please don't hit me. Usually it's not too much of a problem. But I was in Belfast the other day. I go over there sometimes for meetings, and I was doing fine. And I was in the bar after the meeting, and I met this girl, and she was pretty, good looking, and I was thinking, maybe in with a chance here, chatting away, getting well. And she says, "Hey, so what part of Belfast are you from?" And I had to say, "Well, no, I'm from Edinburgh." I'll tell you one thing, bitter experience. You do not want to mess with these people. Peace process or no peace process, they've still got guns. Anyway, that's all the material I've got. You've been a fantastic audience. I'm off to get some therapy. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Good night.
Kick ass. I'll punch you in the balls.